Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Undergraduate of the Year Awards webinar, where we'll be aiming to guide you through your 2022 application. Now, I would like to welcome onto the webinar all the UK and the Irish students that are joining us today that are taking part in the awards, or maybe considering taking part in the awards. Across the two competitions, we've got 16 different categories this year, so they differ slightly between the UK awards and the Irish awards, but the process is very similar. So hopefully, regardless of which competition you're entering into, you should find this webinar really, really helpful today. Now, it will be recorded, and everybody that has registered for the webinar will be sent a link afterwards. In that email, it will have the link, how you access it, where you can watch it. So if you do have to pop out at any point, or you're wanting to go back to it at a later date, that is absolutely fine. So to start with, I will just introduce myself. So my name is Bryony and I'm the Student Marketing Executive, and I'm doing all the marketing for the Undergraduate of the Year Awards this year. Now, if you have already started your application, I am almost certain you will have had an email from me so far. So just to pop a face to a name, I'm the person behind all the emails in your inbox. The awards I've been running now for a couple of months. This is our 13th year of the awards, and the application deadline is the 31st of January. So you have 11 more days to start and or finish your application if you haven't already. Now, the awards are created to mirror a grad scheme recruitment process. So what would happen is you'll fill in your personal information, then you will go on to answer some essay questions, and then dependent on the award, you may be invited to do some psychometric tests or some personality questionnaires. Our four lovely panelists, I'm sure we'll talk to you a little bit more about their experience doing those and their top tips on how to be the most successful at achieving those. And then after that process has happened, which will be by the 31st of January, it's over to the award partners. So some of our award partners this year include Rolls-Royce, HSBC, ACOM, SEMA, Clifford Chance, and then for the Irish awards, we've also got Aldi, Lidl, Jameson's, just to mention a few. They will probably invite you either to a telephone interview or to an assessment centre, whether that be virtual or in person. Fingers crossed this year we'll be doing lots of in-person events. And then the finalists will get invited to our grand final on the 29th of April this year, where we will announce our winner. So that is the process. Whether you win or you don't win, it's a fantastic thing to be a part of. You get lots of experience, lots of practice. It's a chance to network with like-minded people, professionals, and I'm sure all four of our panelists will agree with that. So what I will do for you now, you've heard enough from me. I will head over to our panelists and they can just give you a little bit of an introduction about themselves, and then we will head into some questions. So Phoebe, if you want to start us off.
Hi everyone, my name's Phoebe and I was the Female Undergraduate of the Year for last year. As a bit of an introduction, I study mechanical engineering at the University of Nottingham, and right now I'm in my industrial year, placement year, and I'm about to go back for a master's. Thank you.
And then Flynn.
Hello everyone, I was the finalist last year in the Management Undergraduate of the Year. I'm a second year student at Loughborough University studying marketing and management. And next year I've got a placement at GSK in business improvement, when I'll go back to university for my final year after that.
Amazing. And Tessie?
Hi everyone, I'm Tessie. So currently I'm a first year law politics student at the University of Manchester. Last year I was a runner-up for the youth activist category, which is partnered with Clifford Chance. I was only sixth former to be in the final, which is an amazing achievement for myself. And I do hope to encourage many other sixth formers to apply and see all of you here. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
And then last but not least, Maya.
Hi everyone, so I was the Future Lawyer of the Year back in 2020. So I've since graduated from the University of Sheffield with a law degree, and I applied for my award during my year abroad to the Netherlands, so my penultimate year. I am currently on a kind of gap year before I start my LPC and then go on to do a training contract. And at the moment, I work as an events assistant at targetjobs with the lovely Bryony.
That is brilliant. Thank you very much, Mia. So now you've all introduced yourselves a little bit, we'll go into the first question that we've got today. And I will start off with Tessie. So how did the awards benefit you or help you get to where you are now?
Sorry, yeah, me now. I think it really boosted my confidence. Like, I never actually had like an award as such or been a runner-up in that kind of like category. And to say that I'm a runner-up for the Youth Activist Award, like normally I wouldn't see myself as an activist. I just see myself as a person who just cares about youth issues, cares about social issues. But to be recognized in that level by Target Jobs and by a firm as amazing as Clifford Chance was really good confidence boost, especially because I do have like imposter syndrome sometimes. So like sometimes I think what I'm doing is not good enough, don't deserve this place, and I think that's just linked to how society is about people of my race, for example. But honestly, it's benefited me so much from a legal perspective. It's taught me so much about like a career in law because as Brian already mentioned, the application is supposed to mimic like an assessment center, like what you have like for like whatever field you're in. For me, it's law. So it taught me so much about the Watson Glaser, because that's one big step that you have for application if you were to go from my category. I never heard about the Watson Glaser beforehand, even though I want to become a lawyer, which is crazy to think about. But Target Jobs has taught me what I need to know essentially for like next year, even like this year. So very, very influential for me, I would say. Yeah.
Amazing. No, that's brilliant. And the Watson Glaser test, have you had to do another one of those since starting university or?
Yeah, because right now I'm doing applications for first year schemes with law firms, and a lot of them ask me to do Watson Glaser tests, ask me to do situation-based tests as well. So I believe that this competition was a very good practice, especially being so young in sixth form. That way I can prepare myself for university and like after university as well.
Amazing. No, that's brilliant. And Flynn, same question. So how did the awards benefit you, or how did they help to get where you are now?
Yeah, I think kind of two ways. To have sort of top 5 management undergraduate of the year right at the top of your CV, where someone reading it, like people take 5 seconds to read your CV, and to have that at the top definitely gives a confidence boost that you can kind of apply for any firm or any industry, and you've got a better chance of getting the role. But also, from end to end, from an application form to an assessment centre, you pick up so many small tips from speaking to different people, and going through that in first year as I applied for third year placements was definitely a huge help. That doing simple things which I got told in the process of first year and the enterprise assessment centre was definitely going to be able to transfer to a placement scheme, and hopefully through securing a role at like a pharmaceutical company has shown. But there's definitely some transferable skills which gave me huge confidence from first year during this process to an application period.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. And then Phoebe, how did the awards benefit you?
I do think that's a really tough question. So depending on what Flynn and Tessie have just said, confidence is a huge thing. And I think when I reflect on the award, one thing I look back on is you believe in yourself. No one nominates you. Your teachers, oh, she's a good one. It's you believing in yourself and you putting yourself forward. And imagine like Tessie, Flynn, or none of us would be here if we didn't believe in ourselves that we could do it and win, or at least get as far as we wanted to or could. So what I'm trying to say is that what I've learned is that to believe in yourself, and you're the only person holding yourself back. If you don't take that step and push yourself and get yourself out there, you're not going to get anywhere. And in fact, in this situation, no one is holding you back. So go out and do it and apply, because why not? You've got nothing to lose, and you don't get written how many jobs you get rejected from on your CV, and you get the jobs you applied for that you got. So that's something a mantra to keep in your head.
Yeah, that's some brilliant advice there, Phoebe. And then Maya, how have the awards benefited you?
I mean, I can only really echo what the others have said with this. Like, it really is a big confidence booster on so many levels. Like, a bit like Tessie said, I never received any awards in school, not in university. I wasn't necessarily the most academic person. So at least I feel that universities often recognize academic achievements. So for instance, like those with the highest grade in the module or highest grade in the year will be recognized and they'll get awards. But kind of for those of us that may not be at the top of the class, but maybe do a lot of like extracurriculars, like in my case, I tried to get involved with basically as many things as possible. Like I was really bad at saying no to things. But it's kind of recognizing that people do good stuff outside of academics and it's not about that. So to have an award that celebrated that was brilliant. And honestly, it just gave me that confidence boost I needed. And kind of the person I am now versus the person exactly 2 years ago when I signed up for the award, completely different. Like we are completely different people. And I'm really grateful for Target Jobs and the awards for that. Because literally nothing at university gave me the confidence like this award did.
Brilliant. No, that's absolutely amazing. And then to follow on from that question, and we'll just go straight back to Maya, what opportunities did you get because of the awards? Now, I'm sure Maya's already touched on this so far, but I'm sure she will elaborate for us.
Yeah, so obviously you get a prize as part of the awards. That is part of the reason you sign up for this. So for me, my prize included a coaching call with a senior partner at the law firm that sponsored my award. That was really great, and they organised it so it was an alumni of Sheffield. So we had loads to talk about, and it was just great kind of having a chat with a senior person in a very informal way. So that was really good. I also got to do some work experience with the law firm in their kind of legal tech innovation hub, which was something I'd never done before. So that was really cool as well. And then I guess the other exciting part of it is that I was offered a training contract with the firm. So that's where I'll be joining next year. So yeah, those are kind of some like direct opportunities. And then of course, while I've been kind of spending some time between graduation and starting my LPC, there was an opening at Target Jobs. And I, of course, wanted to join the company that gave me so much and has given me my career. So now I've been working with Target Jobs in the events department, which has been great. So yeah, loads and loads of opportunities. You'll also find that you might be able to take on more like a mentor role. So you'll sort of transition from being a mentee, because I've had mentors in the past, to now I am actually mentoring other students, and that's a really nice opportunity to have got from it as well.
That was lovely, thank you. And Fleur, have you had any opportunities directly due to the awards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, directly for sure. The talent acquisition team at Enterprise were brilliant throughout. It's kind of not crazy to think, but it's so encouraging to see how enthusiastic the Enterprise talent recruitment team. And I think that's the same across all of the awards, that people are so friendly. So just having a constant stream of communication with them guys, even after the award, checking applications, even for other companies, they were happy to do. This year I got offered to do a campus brand manager role at Loughborough University, and also fast tracked a summer internship opportunity for this year or next year. So to have that there is a really great option that Enterprise offer. And indirectly, I think just the opportunities with the confidence it brings. I'm always on the lookout for new competitions or anything like that now. And it's really to emphasize what Maya said. Companies aren't really looking for just academic grades. It's almost edging towards the bottom of their priority list. So I think getting involved in opportunities like this shows you're really passionate about the subject you're looking for, and that's way more important than getting a first on every assignment, as much as that can be a benefit.
That's brilliant, thank you. And how did you find the on-campus role?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have constant communication with the Enterprise people still, and even recently with this promoting this event has been something which has been really good, because honestly last year was kind of a nightmare with people who was in first year of university last year and a year like last year. You just couldn't really go outside and do anything, and this opportunity was emailed to me by the student team at Loughborough, and I thought probably won't happen, but why not give it a go? And I don't know, it just kind of one thing led to another, and it's been good to kind of give the next year of people the chance to sort of transform their future and put it in their hands, I guess, which the award I think can definitely do.
Brilliant. No, that's amazing. And then Phoebe, same question.
So the opportunities that I got from this award, I think that's a really tricky question. I think you can interpret it in two ways. So the opportunities I got from the award, well, I got an amazing summer internship at Rolls-Royce, which was just hands down one of the most incredible things I've done. And I actually have never even really taken too much interest in planes, but to be there, all of a sudden I was a plane fanatic, and I was like, where has this come from? But so apart from that, like that opportunity just to see, I guess, as Maya said, to have such a different, diverse experience, something that I never thought I would be capable of, was really, really a great opportunity. And also, after getting the award, I've got this, like, as I'm saying, a bit of something on my CV. Actually, people take me a bit more seriously, and they know what I'm talking about. I'm not just some girl walking around, actually, I've got something to bring, and I've proved my worth, and actually, I deserve to be an electoral as much as every other guy or girl. And to me, that's the most important part, and it's actually, people can't argue with it. Now I've got it. No one's going to take that away from me. And actually, I can use that to inspire other people and other girls who don't think they're good enough, or other girls have ever doubted why they should be in that lecture hall. And to me, that is the biggest opportunity, beyond that, what I make of it, And I think that's something I would love to do more of, as a result of this year we've had of COVID. Like, I haven't really been able to get that out as much. So I'm going to shout it from the rooftop, and I can get and do some more stuff. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't blame you. I'm sure you all feel the same. Once you've got that title, once you can pop that on your LinkedIn or your CV, you're absolutely correct. Nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can argue with it. You've proved that you were worthy of that. And I suppose that is a fantastic thing to be able to say that you've achieved on top of your studies. And then finally, Tessie, have you had any opportunities as a result of the awards?
So directly from their awards, I would say Clifford Chance offered me a place on their award-winning Access scheme. I think that's Access Development, which is just about learning about the firm, what they offer in practice areas and whatnot, speaking with partners, which is amazing, and stuff like that. I actually got a place onto two schemes because the first one was like, I don't know why they gave me two places. I wasn't going to complain because, But yes, I sat in Access Development, Access Experience, amazing programs. And then indirectly, I was invited by BBC One to appear on their, what am I saying, on their show? To appear on BBC, essentially, and to talk about the recent Ofsted sexual harassment report, just because the reason why I got runner-up in the first place was because of my the campaigning report that I created was about sexual harassment in schools and uniform policy. So pretty much linked into what was happening around the Ofsted report about sexual harassment in schools and about young women and what like that. So I say those would be the indirect and direct opportunities. But even if you don't win or if you're not running up anyway, I think it's an amazing opportunity just to network as well. Because you're going to be talking, it's only about the partners for firms or the people in high positions. Even talking to students as well, make sure you have that student network, because the person that you meet today who's can be in the same year as you, tomorrow they can be an associate, or they can be I don't know, someone in a higher ranking, I don't know what I can't think of any other areas, but I'm thinking of law, obviously. But just think making that network of friends as well. Because I was the youngest in the competition, I see everyone else as big brothers and sisters. And honestly, the support that I got from people who are in the competition as well was phenomenal. So I'll say that would be an opportunity or a thing that I gained also.
That is so lovely, Tessie, to hear that you've kind of got your network now of people that are wanting to do similar things to you, which is just absolutely lovely. We have had a question come in for you specifically, Tessie, just asking what you spoke about in your application. Somebody said that they were thinking of applying for the Young Activist Award, but they weren't quite sure what they were doing is good enough. And I know earlier you mentioned kind of battling imposter syndrome as well. Just if you have any tips on that.
Yeah, so I'll tackle that question first of all, what I actually did for my application, and secondly, my advice into that regards to their question. So I during the first national lockdown, I created a campaign and report called #RollOnYourSkirt, just because this is a phrase that many young women have heard in their entire lives at school. Your skirt's too short, we can see your bra through your top, as if that even matters in the first place. But yeah, so my campaign report was just about tackling sexual harassment in schools, and talking about unfair uniform policies and how they target young women in a nutshell. Secondly, in regards to that question, anything is good enough. Like when you think about it, you won't know until you try and go for it. I didn't think what I was doing was good enough just because I was working in the north. Like I wasn't in London. I wasn't doing anything internationally or nationally. Like it wasn't like a huge thing. But in my area, the impact that I had was good because I could talk to people and whatnot. Even something that may have like little impact or a huge impact can still go a long way in regards to this application. So if you're thinking that, because I haven't saved world hunger, because I haven't done X, Y, and Z, I'm not. Who's to decide? Just go for it. Tech, like anything is worthy of being in the application, I would say. Yeah, just go for it, honestly, because I didn't think that what I was doing was good enough, but here I am now. So
amazing. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you. And then just to go on back to the original question, let's have a look for you on here. What would be your top tips just to ensure that you're going to be successful in the awards? So if we go to Maya for this one, if you have any top tips at all to share.
Yeah, of course. So one thing I'd say before you kind of sit down and write your application, have a little bit of a think about what makes you individual and, special and unique, because there will be things, even if it's, you have an unusual skill set or a hobby, or you just do something wacky in your spare time. I absolutely get that down on there. Like, be the most interesting person ever, because you are the most interesting person. So, find what makes it yourself, unique, really. Like I said before, it's not about academics. So, kind of like, that's great. Put it to one side though. Talk about your hobbies, talk about your interests. I think that's a really strong thing, because also you'll just seem a much more engaged and enthusiastic person, and that will come across on paper. Like, you really can't fake that. So you'll be a much stronger candidate because of it. And then on a similar note, you've got to believe in yourself when you're writing. So the kind of practical ways of doing this. So it's literally just using the word I instead of we. So obviously showing teamwork is great, and absolutely do that, but make sure you're showing what you did specifically to reach that positive outcome, or perhaps saying what you learned from it, but making sure it is all about yourself. It isn't about other people's achievements, and don't be afraid to big yourself up. Like, just keep bigging yourself up, because you are great. But yeah, so those would be my kind of two main tips. Slightly more practically, do practice some psychometric tests just before you do it, just so you're a bit more comfortable with it. Like, it's not the end of the world if you don't. I actually didn't, but it is kind of the one thing I wish I had done, just so I felt a bit more confident, because I did one of my psychometric tests and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what this is, but it was too late because I'd already pressed start. So that'd be my third tip, I think.
Brilliant. And Flynn, do you have any tips to add to that?
Yeah, for sure. Going back to like last year's sticky, not a lot to do. I think it's important to emphasise we're not being paid to say apply for this. Like, we genuinely think it's a great idea, and you can see the benefit which it's done some of us in applying. So I think number one tip is definitely just go for it and apply, because like the worst thing that can happen is get a rejection through, and that's maybe 2 or 3 hours of your time which you haven't wasted, because you've learned from what you could possibly do next time. So that's a huge one, which I think definitely just apply. There's nothing that can go badly with it. When I got like the top 60 email through, like the surprise on my face would tell about 100 stories. So that's definitely tip one. And number two would be networking, both within the competition but also outside. I think that was my number one sort of key to success in my application period, that you're either speaking to people with enterprise, in my case, that have been through an assessment centre before, or know the company back to front, and really networking with people who are on the graduate scheme maybe, who get a sense of the company values, if you send a message to someone and they don't reply, there's no harm that can come of it. And speaking to people at all levels of the business, if possible, was definitely a huge asset to my application. That, for example, when I went in from a phone interview, they kind of asked what I knew about enterprise, and simply going into a local enterprise store and speaking to the assistant store manager there, they told me about how sales and customer service was a big part of the process. So I could go into the interview and say, the assistant store manager told me sales, and that's automatically kind of a box ticked, which having the proactive mindset of networking was able to achieve. So definitely go out and speak to people who you wouldn't usually speak to. LinkedIn's always a great way of doing so. Don't be afraid to go out if it's possible to go into a physical store or an office. Why not try, for sure?
Amazing. And I know that's been lots of tips so far. Phoebe, do you have anything to add on top of those?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I do. Just kind of topping on one of the questions that's come up that I think I can link this to. One of the questions that's come up is how many people apply? And I just want you guys to know that before you guys all joined onto this webinar today, we were all sitting here waiting to go live, and Flynn asked how many people are joining, and also we were told how many people have signed up, and all of us kind of quaked in our boots a bit. But you know what the point is? We're all here today. If we can have one impact on one person in this webinar, and it's the same when you guys apply. It doesn't matter how many people apply, because you, that special little nugget of gold, you definitely have a chance. And I think knowing the number shouldn't, if anything, if anyone telling you a number, if it's not going to definitely make you apply, you don't need to know. And it's the same here. Like, no one told us before, oh, there are going to be 500 people. Oh no, I definitely can't do that. Like, no, you've got to believe in yourself. And that's a tip, believing in yourself, and don't let anything put you off. The same with the psychometric tests. If you don't think it went that well, you don't know what they're looking for. Every psychometric test is different. And the same with the applications. That's looking at a couple of the questions, like, does it matter if I do law for female undergraduate? No, because you as a person or a general, any little girl out there, you are so intelligent enough that to get where you are today, you have to meet, like I said, all the educational bars, right? So now it's all about personality. And I think one thing I put on the little Instagram story today was that be unapologetically yourself. Let that personality shine through. And I think I came back to it and I was looking at my application. I can write like, oh, I was part of this society and this society, but actually, what have you done? What do you bring to it? What's that sparkle? And I think you've only got 500 words. Make sure you read every line and see sparkle and sparkle and sparkle, because actually, you can write about what you have for dinner, but you're describing the flavor. It's a really bad analogy, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, where's the flavor? And that's what you need to do. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now.
No, I absolutely love that. I think that's an amazing tip, whether you're applying for Undergraduate of the Year, a grad scheme, you're writing your personal statement, you need to make sure there's flavour. So I think that's going to be my new life motto. Where is the flavour? So I absolutely love that, Phoebe. So we'll go on to the next question. And it was just, is there anything that you would have done differently? I know Maya mentioned earlier that if she was to do it again, she would have maybe practiced the psychometric test, but I'll open this up to anybody who wants to answer for this one. Is there anything you would have done differently, or are you kind of happy with exactly how you attacked it?
I'll quickly go. I haven't got a load to say, although you can definitely always improve it. I think part of the assessment centre, to like reinforce Phoebe's point, being yourself is so key. And I think I was somewhat hyped up in the making sure you tick all their criteria of what they want to include in the content. And we had a presentation to present. I think I was so focused on saying what they need to include rather than being personable and showing more personality, which I think that's like to emphasize throughout the whole process. Like, just have a conversation with whoever you're speaking with, because they're all people who want to see you do well in the process. So definitely be yourself, as Phoebe says, which maybe I could have done in one of the presentations, but not that I regret that at all.
Amazing. And is there anything anybody else would have done differently at all?
I'll say for me personally, though it did go out well, like I do wish that I reached out to people on LinkedIn beforehand, like as Flynn was saying. But like even like previous winners, that could have been something I could have done, to, like, to message and ask them like, how was your interview? Any tips for me, for example? Because that's like the personal like level, and it can arrange like Zoom calls, for example, if anyone's free per se. Like I'm on LinkedIn. I'm assuming that everyone else on this call's on LinkedIn. What's stopping you from reaching out and asking us some like questions if they don't get answered right now? Just go for it. Definitely. Just to add on to the previous question about like top tips and whatnot. If you're going for like the law, like the youth activist category position, and you have your interview or any interview like for any category, just as Phoebe said, make sure to be yourself. Like in my interview, I wasn't a robot. I was just me per se. And I remember the person who had my interview, who was Tiernan Brady, like he was like the director of like inclusion for Clifford Chance. Me and him were like giggling about being Irish. Like that's the one thing that it went on a total tangent, talking about the county and like different things like in Ireland and stuff like that, and about how Britain is so different. But it's like a little thing that I think that made me memorable, like, in the fact that like I just talked about myself. And then just don't be afraid to do that. Obviously, try and answer the questions. That's a very important thing you need to do. But be authentic and be real, because those 500 words, although that may seem like much, but because everyone writes 500 words and everyone is amazing. Everyone is amazing in this competition, like whether you win or whether you don't win. I think the interview stage is how you bring your words to life and how you bring whatever you've been doing to life. So definitely utilize that spot to the best of your ability to make yourself memorable. You don't want to be like boring per se, or like robotic and pan everything out. Though it is good to prep, and just make sure you like enjoy it and be present in the experience. That's what I would add on to that.
Amazing. No, that's absolutely brilliant. Let's have a look at some of the questions that's been submitted by the students. So I know you've mentioned, Phoebe, there was a question here for the female undergraduate of the year. Do you need to study a STEM subject? This year, you absolutely don't. So don't let it put you off. If you think that you have the qualities that Rolls-Royce are looking for in the 3 awards that they're partnered with this year, go on, apply, and just make sure that you put your best foot forward and you show what you can bring to the role. Let's have a look. How did you find the psychometric tests? So I open that to everybody, because I'm not sure if some of the awards do have them, some of the awards don't have them this year. So yeah, how did you find the psychometric tests?
From my point of view, it was tough. I like going into the whole application process. The fact that I saw they did tests kind of almost put me off doing the application at all, because I hate any sort of psychometric test. I don't feel like it's always a fair reflection of the applicant, but I guess it's a good way of filtering people down sometimes. So I think just practice online. There's YouTube tutorials where it's obviously not going to be the exact same questions, but the method, the sort of logical thinking, you can get the same from YouTube videos and really translate it to get you. You only have to kind of hit a benchmark. They don't make it really. You don't have to get 100 out of 100. That's for sure. Just bits of practice online on YouTube to kind of get the logical way of thinking about it is definitely a good way to go, and a bits of practice in between. Universities should always, I know in many cases, provide like bits of practice within psychometric testing. So maybe reach out and see if that's available to you. But I definitely wouldn't worry about it too much, because if I was overly worried, I just simply wouldn't have applied.
Brilliant.
I guess another thing to drop into that is if you do have like, especially for the category I did, Rolls-Royce, they have a really good like diversity network, or like inclusion, where if you have like a learning disability like dyslexia, dyspraxia, neurodivergence, they're really good at including you in the psychometric test, so they can do it so you get extra time. And I did that because I'm dyslexic as well. So do not feel like, sometimes I feel like psychometric tests work against the dyslexic brain, but really they are going to make it a level playing field. So do not let that put you off either, because it's 100% all systems go, level playing field.
Absolutely. And if, as Phoebe said there, we can add extra time to tests if you do have a neurodivergent condition such as dyslexia, and we also have the Celebrating Neurodiversity Award this year as well. So we're doing our very best to make sure that there is an award for everybody and that it is a level playing field, so everybody's got the best chance of being successful. Tessie, I know Clifford Chance this year doesn't have the psychometric test to start with, but as you said earlier, you had the Watson Glaser to do. Is that a similar format to a psychometric test?
The Watson Glaser is just, I think I would say it's quite similar, just in the fact that it's more so about how you think, like how you make deductions and how you make observations based on like material you get. And the best way I would say to prepare for the Watson Glaser is just to do an online practice test. I believe if you just Google Watson Glaser practice test, there'll be so many to come up. I'd recommend doing at least 2 to 3 beforehand, just because, as Finn mentioned, it is how some people filter out certain kind of like people per se. I never heard of the Watson Glaser before applying for this award, so I'll definitely say a good bit of research will definitely go a long way. Please don't attempt to do it without doing a practice test, because, you know, especially if you've never heard of it as well, maybe you can get 100%. I don't think there's actually like a certain number they're looking for, but I do know like if it's pretty low, you probably won't progress the next round. But definitely practice is very important. Yeah.
Amazing. No, that's absolutely brilliant. And Mia, did you have to do psychometric tests for your application for Future Lawyer?
Yeah, so I think I did 2 or actually potentially 3. Like I say, I did not practice for it. So maybe not the best person to ask. But the one thing I had done is I had done lots and lots of Watson Glazers. So during the year I applied for the award, I was also applying for a lot of vacation schemes at law firms, many of which asked for the Watson Glaser. So I had some practice. And I have to say the Watson Glaser was a lot harder than the psychometric tests I had to do for the award. So if you've got the Watson Glaser sorted, you'll be absolutely fine with all the others. To be honest with you, the Watson Glaser is notoriously hard. It requires a certain type of logic that as soon as you understand the logic, you get it. Every single test will be easy after that, but it just takes a while to get your head around it. Just because they are looking for like a very, very specific way of thinking about problems. But what I'd say about the psychometric tests that I did as part of the undergrad awards is they were a lot more kind of straightforward. Like I'd never seen problems like it. There were like lots of numbers and shapes, but it made a lot more sense that I could sort of very quickly pick up on what they were doing. Whereas with the Watson Glaser, it took me about 2 months to learn how to do it. And I did keep a spreadsheet on this, like this won't be everyone's cup of tea, but I kept a spreadsheet of every like practice test I did for the Watson Glaser. I dated it and I put the score, and I failed every single one for the first month probably. But having a spreadsheet where I tracked my scores really helped me then feel better about myself, because I'd suddenly get like 5% higher or something. I'll be like, yes, getting in there. And then eventually I was getting 100%, well, not 100%. Okay, that's a little optimistic, but a good score every time. And that's a system that worked for me. It might not work for you. But yeah, like I say, to be honest, Watson Glaser is the hardest psychometric test you'll ever do. Everything else is fine.
Brilliant. And I know somebody asked earlier if the psychometric tests are the only thing that the award partners take into consideration. It is not. So they will take into consideration any psychometric testing that you do. Your essay questions as well are really important to them, and they will kind of evaluate your application in full. So everything that you've done before the 31st of January will be taken into account for them to then make their shortlist to who they would like to invite to a assessment centre or a telephone interview, whatever their next process would be. And then from there, once they've met you and spoken to you and seen your personality, at that point, then they will choose their finalists from that group. So the psychometric tests aren't the be all and end all. So just try your best and you never know. And now we'll go on to the next question, which is more to do with the prizes. So we've got a question here too for Rolls-Royce. So we'll head to Phoebe for this one. What type of opportunities are available for the finalists of the Rolls-Royce Award? And are the internships at Rolls-Royce in specific departments, or is there a little bit of choice?
So how it worked for last summer for me, and if I say how it was for me last summer, it may not be different. So just you can use this as a guideline, but I wouldn't hold anything as 100%. So we brought into a group of 20 for the final, and then for the finalists for the interviews, and then for the interviews we brought it down to 10. And of the 10, we were all offered some internships at Rolls-Royce. We were put in departments in Rolls-Royce based on where they thought we would do best. For example, if a girl was studying design, they put her in the design team, and I was studying mechanical engineering, so I was put in the integration team. And they do match it up. So, like I said, for anyone who's applying who's not got a STEM degree, they have so many different departments. They have, media, they have law, they have branding, they have event, all aspects of a company they have it on top. So, there's definitely going to be a space for you and where you flourish. As far as go back to the question, was it like what opportunities are available? Once you're in your department, your opportunities are probably like rooted in your department. So I got a lot of opportunities to like see the test bed and the manufacturing floor, but it really is just dependent on where the connections are, where you land up in the team. And then obviously from that, a lot of people are offered grad schemes or year in industry placements afterwards. So as far as from that, once you get to the point of getting the internship, so sky's the limit. You can definitely get jobs afterwards as well.
Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. We've got another one which is partner focus. So this one was for Clifford Chance. So we'll head to Tessie for this one. And it was, what were the key qualities that you think Clifford Chance are looking for in an applicant?
To find that information out, I'll possibly just go look on their website firstly, because they have like skills of what they need, like solicitors, like paralegals and whatnot. But looking at Clifford Chance as a firm, you can kind of see that they're quite a creative firm. They're always doing new things, always paving the way for other law firms. So I'll definitely say innovation and creativity would be very important. In regards to youth activism, I think you have to be kind of like a leader, but also like a team worker as well, which is very important. So leadership and teamwork as well. Probably time management, because if you're I don't know, leading an initiative and also juggling uni or sixth form, you're doing that in like already. So I think that would show. You don't have to really like say that, but I think those would be the top qualities I think they're probably looking for. Also check on like TargetJobs website, check on CC's website as well. That way you're making sure your application like showcases all those qualities. But those are the main ones I would say.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. And then another partner specific question. We'll go to Flynn for this one because this was for Enterprise. What do you think Enterprise was looking for in a candidate? Obviously, you were a finalist and you got to experience different opportunities and things from the awards. So what do you think was crucial that Enterprise was really looking for in those applications?
Yeah, I think just enthusiasm is the first one. They want you to be enthusiastic. Like, not everyone has to be a car person. You certainly don't have to have a passion for Enterprise rent a car. Because I certainly didn't at the start of the competition, but kind of really seeing where they're coming from. Tessie has a great point about looking at Enterprise have like some really clear values on their website, and aligning yourself with these is definitely a good way to go. During my interview process, I sort of looked at these key values, whether it's customer service, leadership, and kind of had an example for each one. So when I've done that in the past, and it doesn't have to be an extensive example at all. Say it's leadership, it might be when you've led a team of 3 at work, or been captain of a sports team, and just kind of relaying that experience to how it would kind of how it's benefited your leadership skills going forward, and how it would benefit Enterprise potentially if you're on a graduate scheme is definitely a key tip I'd give for sure.
I'm on mute.
That's for 2 years on myself on mute. On
and you would think after 2 years now of doing it, we would remember to take ourselves off mute, but no, I think we'll be doing it until the end of time. No, so that was absolutely fantastic advice, Flynn. We really appreciate that. Did anybody else have anything else that they wanted to add to anything that anybody's asked with the questions in the question box? Or is there anything else that you think is important for future applicants to know?
I think there was a question about word count and whether you have to stay at the 500 like max. I would just say for any application you go for, if they're asking for a specific like number, I would stay at that number, or don't go any lower than 400 words, I would say, because you want to make sure that you're explaining each point. Also ensure that they're using like the star method and the car method as well when you're explaining your points. A quick Google search will explain what those methods are. But yeah, 400 to 500 words I would recommend, but don't feel as though you have to write so many different things. If you have like one good point but you can explain it like thoroughly well, that should be fine pretty much. Yeah.
Brilliant. And there's another question here about telephone interviews. Did any of you have a telephone interview, or was it an assessment centre?
So I had a telephone interview. For me, it was the application and the test to start. Then I had a telephone interview, which was really just, I think it was a video call, but they called it a telephone interview. And it's simply just a half an hour chat. And it's so important to just have a conversation, as Tessie said earlier, when you feel like you haven't really spoken in detail about what you meant to. It's kind of a good interview that you've like vibed with the person. It's important to cover what they've asked you in sort of detail. Definitely look at sort of the star responses within an interview, because that can really like be a huge asset to kind of really out. Because sometimes you get so in your head about what you're thinking about and what you're explaining, it's not always clear. So saying the situation you've been in, the task, the action and the result, and maybe a bit of reflection on what you can do in the future with this like leadership or experience is something which I'd definitely say is important. But just be really personal. They're there to have a chat, and I guarantee if you speak about, maybe do a bit of research on their profile if you know who's interviewing you, what they're interested in. Just be a great talking point when, you know, coming into the interview, you can touch common ground potentially if they've been to the same university or a similar course or something like that.
Brilliant. No, that's really helpful. Thank you. And then we'll just go over a couple of final questions and then we will draw it to an end. But this year we've got lots of different awards and we've had a lot of students coming in and asking, can I apply for more than one? Unfortunately, this year you can only apply for the one award. So what I would like to know is how you picked the best award for you. I mean, I've given lots of advice on how to look on the careers pages and have a look and see which companies' values align best with your own. But how did you all choose the best award for you? And if we start with Maya.
So mine was pretty easy. So I'm not sure if I can give too much insight what to do if you're confused, because for me it was a career specific one. So obviously I applied for Future Lawyer because I wanted to be a lawyer. So that was fairly straightforward. I did have a look at the other awards, but I just felt that this award kind of aligned with my own interests and I guess also my own qualities. And the other part for me is the sponsor firm. It's a different sponsor firm for the Future Lawyer Award this year, sadly. It was a firm that I'd attended at an open day at previously, and I knew I really wanted to get some work experience there. So that was kind of a big driving force for me. But yeah, I guess just go with what you're most enthusiastic about. Like, I know it sounds weird to be enthusiastic about commercial law, but I really was. And as I said earlier, like genuine enthusiasm will always come across well on paper. Like you can't fake your own enthusiasm. So yeah, just go for whatever interests you most. Like it doesn't matter if you think, oh, I haven't got the strongest answer, but if you're passionate, you probably do. So yeah, that's what I would say about it.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Maya. And Phoebe, how did you pick your award?
So I think how I picked it was obviously like female undergraduate of the year. Being female is definitely the first thing that was ticked. But for me, it was about the work I'd done. Like I'm a big of my friends won't know, like a big raging feminist. Like I just get riled up about these kind of things. And through my education, I've done a lot of stuff to promote being a woman in STEM. And, you know, I've been a mentor. I've been a, I've organized Women in STEM Day events. I've attended Women in STEM Day events. And it just, I feel like it's kind of cliche to say, but everything just fitted into place. I feel like, you're right. I was never the most intelligent. I never was scoring on top of the test, but actually this encapsulated the tiny thing, you know, not tiny thing, it's a huge thing. This encapsulates something in my life that just fit me right. And I think someone else agreed. So yeah, I think also someone said here, like there was a couple other questions like directed at me, and I think Tessie may have touched on it. If you want to message me on LinkedIn, my inbox is 100% open, and if you can request someone on LinkedIn and just type a message and say that you had the talk here with me today, and I'll definitely reply. So that's not if it's more specific, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Brilliant. And then to Flynn, how did you pick yours?
Yeah, so I think I'd have only qualified for 2 of the categories, which would have been first generation and management undergraduate of the year. I think the first generation being sponsored by HSBC, not that should deter anyone who doesn't do finance. I thought the preconceived idea would be like a finance internship. So I thought the management one would really suit. I felt I had previous experience in sort of customer service, with simple like customer service representative roles, or a leadership like being captain of sports teams. So it was kind of a brief look. It wasn't an intense application to start. I obviously tried in my short written and the test, but there wasn't a load of thought put into it. It was just like, let's go for it and see what sort of happens. So I was glad I did. And I think the management one was really good. How friendly the people were at Enterprise suited. How, like, consider it was my first application period ever. It was really good to kind of get a gradual spoon-fed way into it with how nice they were.
No, that's brilliant. And it's really nice as well to hear that your experience of Enterprise was a really good one, even after the awards as well, which is really, really lovely to hear. And then Tessie, I know the way you chose your award may have been a little bit different, just because obviously the Young Activist Award was the only award available for year 13 students. So I'm going to change the question slightly for yourself. And how did you find out about the award, and what was it that made you decide that you was going to put yourself forward for it?
Well, my friend sent me the application and she's like, oh, you're always doing like social activism work, you're always doing X, Y, and Z, go for it. And I was like, okay, cool. I looked at it, and when I saw Clifford Chance as one of the firms I was sponsoring, I was like, yeah, that's like one of my dream firms. I'm gonna go for it. And also I just thought it would be really fun, because like I don't think I've ever applied for like an award on this like level. Don't think I've ever won an award on this level per se. I didn't really think I'd get that far in regards to the application and all of that, because but I'm just happy that I went for it, honestly. And those are the reasons why I applied, essentially, because as I mentioned beforehand, I wouldn't go around saying, oh yes, I'm a youth activist, because I just think I'm a regular person who cares about like people's issues. But I would definitely say, do think a bit long for what you're going to apply for, just because you can't apply for more than one award. And you want to make sure you apply for one that really speaks to you. For example, Maya, you mentioned the Future Lawyer Awards was totally your street, just because like you love that the law firm, you love law as well. And I think don't apply for award just because you think, because I study law, I should go for future law. If you think you're so into STEM, go for it. I would say, as long as you're eligible, what's stopping you, really?
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. So we've answered quite a lot of questions. We've gone through a lot of information. As we said at the start, it is recorded. So if you've missed any of it, or you want to rewatch it at any point, we will send you the link to rewatch that if you've missed any of the answers. If you've asked a question and it hasn't been answered, or you have a burning question and you didn't feel quite comfortable popping it in the chat box, I know all of our lovely panelists have said that their inbox on LinkedIn is open, or you can always send an email to Undergraduate of the Year, and I will do my very best to answer any questions as well. But thank you very, very much for everybody attending, everybody sending in the questions. And even more so, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to the 4 panelists, Phoebe, Flynn, Tessie and Maya, just for joining us today and sharing all their advice and tips and experiences. I know all of our applicants this year are going to have found it so, so helpful. And fingers crossed you will have inspired lots of people to go on and start an application if they haven't already. But thank you very much. And we will wrap it up now. But good luck to everybody applying. We hope to see lots and lots of applications from you all. And the deadline is the 31st of January. So you've got 11 days to submit that first part of the application. And I hope to see lots of your faces at the final in April. Thank you.